Hi, this is Mrs. Downey, and welcome back to second semester of Algebra 2. Today we're going to break into Chapter 6, and before we do, we need to review what exponents are. So our focus today on this lesson is what is an exponent. I've asked all the students to write within their math journals what are all the properties that they can remember of exponents. For example, what's the rule for multiplying powers of the same base? Or what do we do when we have a power to a power? I've asked them to write everything that they can remember from Algebra 1 and all the properties of exponents into their math journal. So to begin, I want to explain what is an exponent. With an exponent, we have a base and we have a power. So here, my base is x, and 3 is my power. We say this is x to the third power, and that means that we're going to multiply x, the base, to itself however many times the power specifies. So this becomes x times x times x. If I had 2 to the third power, 2 is my base, 3 is my power. And this means that we're going to have 2 multiplied to itself 3 times. So 2, 3 times. 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So we can say that 2 to the third power equals 8. Some of the properties of exponents that we covered in Algebra 1, this is strictly a quick review, anything to the 0 power. For example, if I have x to the 0 power, it is equal to 1. Now, we cannot ever have the base being 0 for this rule to apply. So, it means this base can be anything other than 0. So I could have infinity to the 0 power. It's going to be equal to 1. How about a negative 6 to the 0 power? That's equal to 1. Notice that I've put my negative sign inside the parentheses with my 0 power. That's going to be completely different than if I have the negative sign outside of the parentheses. What this means is that's just like saying negative 1 times 6 to the 0 power. So 6 to the 0 power becomes 1, and negative 1 times 1 is equal to negative 1. So when you have the negative sign inside, that's equal to 1. When it's on the outside, it's equal to negative 1. Now if we have it combined like 2x, y to the 0 power z cubed, that's like saying 2 times x times y to the 0 times z cubed. So when we pull this apart, we've got y to the 0 here, and we know that that's equal to 1. So it becomes 2 times x times 1 times z cubed. Well, anything times 1 is itself, so we can just take that out. 2 times 1 is 2 times x times z cubed, which becomes 2xz cubed. Next, I want to cover fractions that have powers with the same base. So if I have y to the fifth over y to the third, what we do is we keep the base of y and we subtract the powers. So it becomes 5 minus 3. And that's equal to y to the second power. Now what happens if it's turned around, where we have, let's do x to the third power over x to the fifth power? Well, that becomes x to the 3 minus 5 power, which is equal to x to the negative 2 power. Well, when we have a negative power, that's not simplified. We have a rule right here that states when we have anything to the negative power, it's equal to 1 over that base to that positive power. Okay? So we'll do another. If I have 43y to the negative 6th power, that's like saying 43 times y to the negative 6th. Well, y to the negative 6th is negative power. We need to simplify that. That's equal to 1 over y to the 6th power times 43. And we need to multiply those back together. So 43 times 1 is equal to 43. And 1 times y to the 6th is equal to y to the 6th power. So this becomes 43 over y to the 6th. The next thing I want to cover is when I have x, y to the 6th power. That's the same as saying x to the 6th times y to the 6th. So you can split them up. Or let's say, what if I had 3xy squared? That's like saying 3 squared times x squared times y squared. And 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. So we have 9x squared y squared. And that's our answer. When I have a power to a power, like y squared to the 8th power, well, a power to a power, we multiply. So that's equal to y to the 2 times 8, which is y to the 16th. If I'm multiplying powers of the same base, like x to the 3rd times x to the 6th, then we just keep the base and add the powers. And the last thing that I need to show is what happens if I have a fraction like x over y to the 3rd. That's the same as saying x to the 3rd over y to the 3rd. And that's everything from Algebra 1 review. I'm going to stop here and continue with the next video.